Hey, welcome back to Ghost Tracks Podcast. I'm Tina, your host, and I am here today with I-PSI members Thomas and Doug. And I also have Kate from Spirits of Marco Church today.
Hello.
We're going to go
Hello.
over the investigation that we had there. And thank you, Kate, for joining us and being willing to come on and talk about the history of the church and kind of what you guys have experienced since you've had the pleasure of owning it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Of course. So you can go I would love to hear I know you talked to us obviously when we were there, but kind of go into like when you guys purchased the church and what your intentions were and then kind of how it turned into a haunted location for you guys, which we're so
Okay,
excited
yeah.
that it did.
Yeah, I'm feeling my way through this. This is really new to me. We did not plan for this to happen. But yeah, so after COVID, we sold everything. We sold our house, we sold our cars, we quit our jobs. And we just traveled for a couple of years. And after a couple of years, I started to get a little nervous because we didn't have a house anymore. We really can't be gypsies like for the rest of our lives. As cool as it was, we couldn't continue that. So we started looking for a house and, the housing market in well, even still today,
No, yeah,
it's,
it's insane.
it is, yeah, it's insane. So we kind of started looking at, anything we were finding, even remotely in our price range still needed work. And any house, even if it's, any house, you're going to go in and kind of customize it and do your things with it. And so we kind of started looking outside the box a little bit. And there's a website that sells where you can list houses or churches, schools, hospitals, which would be super creepy. Just any kind of building that, no longer is operating as what it once was. And so we found this church, and there was the church, and there was also an old general store that would have been pretty cool too, but it needed a total gut.
Mhm.
So we went with the church. We decided on the church. I knew nothing about it. I didn't even see the church before we bought it. My husband flew up and looked at it and said, "Yeah, it's structurally in good shape. We need some, it had some termite damage and some little things like that." But he said, "Yeah, we can do it. It's going to take a lot of work, but we can do it." And I knew nothing of the area, which may would have changed my mind if I had known some of the history of the area. So we bought the church in 2023, and one of the deciding factors was the church. We could live in the church while we were renovating. The general store was total gut. We could not live in it. Plus, I think I just wanted the church. I think the church. I was just kind of more drawn to the church. I'm not religious that way, but not for that purpose. I just felt like I was kind of drawn to it. So we moved in. We bought it in June of 2023 and moved into the basement, and pretty quickly things started happening. I grew up in southeastern Kentucky. My grandma was Native American, Appalachian. I grew up hearing ghost stories and haunts and bloody bones and the whole stories. And my husband was a harder sell. He's a Marine. He really wasn't buying it. He wanted proof. I mean, he would go on like investigations with me and things like that, but he would always try to talk himself out of whatever he would see or hear or whatever. And after living in the church, he couldn't do that anymore. So,
Right.
I mean, pretty soon after we moved in, like, because we were living in the basement and we would hear walking overhead, we would hear whispers, we would hear shuffling sounds. And I think the turning point for him was one night we were laying in bed and I had the doorbell cameras on the counter. They were charging, and my phone notified that somebody's at the side door. So I thought that was odd because they were on the counter. It wasn't even on the side door. So as soon as I picked my phone up and looked at it, we heard running, like heavy boot running from one end of the church to the other. And so he grabbed a flashlight and a hammer, like one of those big mag lights, and ran up there because he thought the neighbor had got in, the weird neighbor that he keeps wanting to come inside, and he's part of the history. But he thought he had got in thinking we weren't home. So he ran up there and everything was locked up. There was nothing out of place. Everything was the way it should have been. There was no one inside. And I think that was the turning point for him.
Yeah.
And
It
then,
sounded like that, when we came and you guys were talking about everything with us, it kinda sounded like it shook him a little bit having
yeah,
that happen.
yeah, because there was no other explanation. He couldn't say,
Right.
"Oh, it's electrical," or "Oh, it's whatever it
It
was,"
was a
because
mouse.
yeah, yeah, a mouse. We did find a mouse in there. So we did, well, he set out
A
a
mouse
trap.
in
So
very heavy boots.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, it was very heavy running, so that was his kinda turning point, and then, things just continued to happen, and again, it's very subtle. I think I explained to you guys, it's very subtle. It's not like you're not gonna hear the occasionally you'll hear heavier footsteps, but usually it's really light. It's very feminine, childlike energy, I feel like. You're not gonna get scratched, you're not gonna get hit, no one's gonna pull your hair. I mean, nothing like that's gonna happen. It's very even sometimes with equipment, they don't like the equipment. You just basically kinda have to sit there and just listen and feel what you feel, and it's not I mean, I will set off equipment on occasion, but it's not it's very subtle is the only way I can describe it.
Yeah. When we were there, I don't think any one of us felt any, like, malicious energy or negative energy. I did have some, like, physical situation go on, and I'm not really sure where that was coming from, to be honest. It came on pretty quickly. I think we were just kinda sitting in the upstairs and we were going I think we just had Ghost Tube on at the time, didn't we?
Yeah, for the most part, we had Ghost Tube running quite
Yeah,
a bit.
and then I think we had the Medusa's net on,
Mhm.
and so we were kinda just,
Yeah.
like, there talking, like, just listening, talking with each other, and then obviously out loud to the room and everything, just kinda seeing if anything was happening, and then all of a sudden I got, like, super dizzy, and I got really, really, really hot, and I was like, "I don't know
Yeah.
what is happening right now, I feel really sick." And so I was like, "I'm gonna go, like, sit in the bathroom for a few minutes 'cause I don't know if I'm gonna, like, throw up." Like, and it just came on real quick, and then I think I came back upstairs after I'd gone to the bathroom for a few and I was feeling better, and then I got freezing cold. And I usually run hot, like, I'm used to just being like, "Oh my god, it's 10,000,000 degrees in here at
Mhm.
all times." I was freezing, and I sat up there for a little while just literally chattering. Like, it was, like, 10 degrees in there, and then we finally I was like, "I have to go lay down, like, I gotta go get under some blankets or something." I went downstairs and got my blankets,
Yeah.
covered up, and I think after about 15 minutes, I was told, like, everything was fine, and I did not have any more temperature changes or, like, nausea or dizziness for the rest of the night, so I'm not sure what that little blip was.
I was
Yeah.
thinking about that after you told me that, and I kinda was I mean, I'll just run this little theory by you and see what you think. I feel like you have a pretty strong personality, which I
Mhm.
like, but, but I think the energy that's there from the time period that we're talking, late 1800s, women and children were not heard. Women and children did not have a voice, and I feel like maybe something wanted to shut you down
Yeah,
because you do have that strong voice. I don't think it's like, I've heard people at, like, Monroe House, and they will get, like, deathly ill, like,
right,
projectile vomiting and, some really
right.
crazy stuff. I don't think it was anything like that. I don't think anything that forceful came at you, but I
Right.
wondered if it was something because I do feel like I think I told you guys I had the Bobby Mackey stuff there. I brought some things
Mhm.
back from Bobby
Yeah.
Mackey's. I think where there might be a male energy that came back
I was
with
gonna
that.
say, yeah, you did talk about just in general too that there were some male energies that came through from the history of the place,
Mhm.
like knowing people that were there. And I don't wanna brag, but my mom did say I'd probably be lobotomized back in the day. So
Wow, who can say that?
You just
mom
have
was
that
like, "You
lobotomy energy about you.
I'll add that to my
Well, yeah,
resume."
because women with an opinion were not accepted, and if you were outspoken, you just yeah, you must be crazy because you're
My
acting
mom
kinda
said that
crazy, so
my mom told me that if I had been in, like, like, the 1800s, she's like, "You definitely would have been beheaded." I was like, "Probably." "You're not wrong, mom."
because I know another team that comes pretty often, one of the females, she's very, very assertive and very and I know she sometimes, she really gets a reaction out of the energies there where some people never get a reaction. So I feel like maybe that's what it was, which was kind of strange because I don't know that anyone's ever had those exact symptoms before where they just really felt like maybe they were getting sick or something. But that's the only thing I could come up with why that may have happened.
Yeah. I don't know, and it like I said, and it didn't happen for the rest of the night, and then for me, like, we all tried to do an Estes method, each one of us tried to do one. I was able to pull more from mine than the guys were from theirs. But then other than that dream that I had, like, it was pretty chill for the rest of the night with me. I don't know if they were just like, "Oh, okay, maybe."
Back
Well,
up a
I
bit.
think with the Estes, I think they would maybe because they didn't have that voice, maybe they saw that voice through you, maybe that's why you had a better experience with Estes.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah, I
perhaps.
normally struggle with Estes method. As I don't know if it's
I
ADHD or something. It's just I can't focus, and it just seems like
yeah,
there's just too much happening, and it doesn't work.
yeah, that's what I have too. It's just like I'll start to hear something, but then something else will immediately take my attention away. I'm like, wait, what I hear?
yeah, yeah, and you do have to be really focused, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I definitely I don't usually like going under Estes method. I do struggle with it a lot. Curtis is really good at it, one of our other
Mm.
team members, Curtis, and
So just
yeah,
yeah, Jeremy's also very good at it. Jeremy gets, he gets some wild stuff.
really.
He gets I don't know, that he has a very easy time with it, but he some of his are pretty docile, but a lot of them get a little cray cray.
yeah,
That's where we're
yeah,
at. Like Billy Creek, I know, like, the beginning ones were okay, like, in the Civil War house, but then when you guys and I was already in bed, but when they went into the governor's house, I guess all bets were off at that point because everything got very negative very quickly at that one.
yeah. It got like very weird. I mean, yeah, negative, but it's just like there wasn't a kind, gentle spirit, whatever was there. I wouldn't go as far
Present.
as even evil or demonic. It was just like somebody who was just probably was a womanizer or whatever in his past life, and he was targeting the women pretty heavily there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
I
they were
was
going, yeah, you're not there.
so history of the church, I would love for you to tell the listeners more about that because I thought it was fascinating, and I think we all kinda touched on that a few times throughout the night. We were just like we couldn't believe how many different backgrounds of people utilize that church even at the same time. Like,
yeah,
Yeah,
that kinda mind-blowing to us.
yeah. Yeah, so the church was initially the town of Marco. It wasn't initially called Marco, but it was initially established about a half a mile away over by the cemetery. But then when the railroad came through, they decided to move the town over on the opposite side of the creek by the railroad. So, and that was in 1869 is when the town was platted out and the church was started. It was completed in 1871. And some other houses there that are still, there's a couple existing buildings from that time. Most of them have been torn down. But yeah, so when the railroad came through, they decided to move the town over closer to the railroad, started building their buildings. And at the time, there were pagans, atheists, and Christians in the area, which I thought was pretty amazing that they recognized everyone and they all shared the community the
Mhm.
way they did because the church was built financially and physically by the community and it was used by the entire community. So it was used by pagans and atheists and Christians. It was reserved for Christians on Sundays. And then I guess slowly they took more and more days and maybe it became more, the other groups were pushed out or something. But in 1871, there was an accident on the railroad. There was a man named George. There was an accident. They took him to the doctor's office and he knew he was not going to make it. So yeah, he was very religious. So he asked to be taken to the church. They took him to the church and he died later that evening at the church. That's the only documented death at the church that we know of, which would make sense because people didn't go to church to die. But he was
Ideally.
from Virginia, so he's rumored to be buried up in the cemetery. I haven't found his grave yet. I haven't looked. Some people say that he's not completely at rest because he wasn't buried with his family close by. He was buried out of state. Some teams have made contact with him and they said he's very friendly, but he's sad. So that happened in 1871. In the late 1800s, I mentioned there were pagans in the area and, there was a young man that had fallen in love with one of the pagan women, and she was not interested in him. She wasn't concerned with him at all. So he thought if he became pagan, she would be interested in him. He didn't understand what paganism was. He just thought it was some weird, freaky religion. he opened himself up, and there was some dark energy that had taken advantage of that. And it wasn't a possession, it was more like an oppression situation. And
Right.
he had gotten, he turned violent, aggressive, just really mean. He was awful to his family, to this woman in particular, and to the whole town. So after a while of that, the family came to the church, and initially the church was Methodist Episcopalian. They had split off in the mid 1800s. They had split into a north and a south. And then in the 1930s, the Episcopalians split from the church altogether and it became the Marco Methodist Church. But at the time, it was Episcopalian Methodist. So the family came to the church and asked for help and said, "You have to do something, that our son is just not, he's just not right." And so the church agreed to, they called them prayer sessions. Now, I don't know, this is from the ladies at the Historical Society. So I don't know if, I don't think it was like an exorcism type because it wasn't a possession, but it was like they would pray over this man. So after a while of that, must have been several years based on the documentation, but once got out from under this oppression that he was under, he was so embarrassed and he felt so guilty. And he was just, when he realized all these things that he had done and just really what a jerk he was to everybody, he did go out in the woods back behind the church and hang himself.
Oh,
So that was another documented death, but it wasn't directly on church property. So we don't know exactly what happened, but we do know that the Episcopalian bishop made 4 visits to the church between 1889 and 1891. So there's not a lot of church history that's documented, but we do have that. So I don't know. I don't know anything about this man. I don't know his name. So when we get these random names, I don't know if that's him coming through. I don't know if it's his family coming through. But after that, that was kinda like a big deal in the town at the time, and then after that, he hung himself and there was that whole process, and then the town just continued to grow until the '90s when the KKK came in, and they came in full force into Indiana, um, and it was, I mean, you guys are from there, so you know the stories probably, but we know that church members were members of the KKK, and they had meetings at the church. The church bell, they would ring the bell at sundown to notify, to signify to the minorities that if you're out after this bell rings, you're kind of fair game for whatever we do to you.
That just broke my heart when you talked about that, like,
It's
to
awful.
even think about a time in history, and I know a lot, and obviously not to maybe that extent, but even just acknowledging that that is still part of communities to this day is
Mhm.
just I can't wrap my head around that part of society at all,
Yeah.
and to
No.
talk about it and to ring a bell
Yeah.
like it's open season, like, that's just
Mhm.
I mean,
it's
my thing
disgusting.
is, it's like, yeah, it's true that they rang a bell, but I mean, it could be the other alternative. They don't give them no warning at all, and they're just left to fend for themselves. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't want to sound like, well, hey, at least warn them. It's like, I mean, don't want to sound cold
Yeah.
hearted about it, but it's like, at least they could give you a warning and that seek shelter or they're going to be, SOL.
Yeah, but
Hate to
who are
say
they
that.
to tell somebody to go home and you can't be
right.
out, Like,
Yeah,
I know what
that's,
you're saying. It is. Like, who are you to
yeah.
yeah. And unfortunately, I think there's still people today that think that that's perfectly okay. Um, but and that accounts for some of the missing women in the area. So as far back as the late 1800s, there's record of women that have gone missing. A lot of women have turned up deceased. Some have never been found. Some are minorities, and they account that to the KKK activity in the area. But there's some that are not. There's some drugs, a lot of drug abuse in the area, so that accounts for some of it too. But there's some others that some have been solved, but most of them have never been solved. A man that lives a couple of houses from the church
The neighbor.
was, yeah, the neighbor. He was convicted of murdering his wife and disposing her body down an abandoned mine shaft. They've never recovered her body. And for 4 years, he told everyone that she ran off with someone, and they always knew he was responsible. but it took a while to get enough evidence. They were going to implicate some family members, so he confessed, and he only spent 15 years in prison. But he was also, in addition to his wife, he was also questioned in at least two, possibly three other disappearances. A 79-year-old lady disappeared from the cemetery, and he was a prime suspect there. He told me all this himself. We didn't know. We hired him to do some work around the church, and then we found this stuff out and totally changed our contact with him then.
And just so everyone knows, like, this little area, I'm not sure what we were thinking, like, because I don't know that any of us have been out that direction. I certainly had, and I've seen plenty of, like, small towns, middle of nowhere, farm country. This is literally the middle of nowhere, guys. Like, this is,
Yeah.
like, 3 streets, and that is the town.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very, very small. Like, Cate told us, like, there's just not a lot of people out there as far as, like, tradespeople and things, so when they bought this church and needed work done, you guys kinda had to go with who was available.
Yeah, and I always knew now he just does, like, handyman type work, and he had, like, this piece of equipment, and there was a lot of concrete outside, sidewalks and stuff that we wanted to get rid of. So, we hired him to do that. I would never hire him to come inside. I mean, you can tell he's just not that skilled, but he always wants to come inside. Whenever we would have materials delivered, he would always, "Oh, let me help you carry it in," or he would come by, he would just our cameras would see because we have cameras everywhere, and because it is a creepy little place, which I didn't know that, and I was there alone a lot because my husband works a lot. That's part of the reason the church
Yeah.
isn't finished, but, 'cause we were doing a lot of the work ourselves too, but, he's gone a lot, so it was he's a creepy little guy, and, we would find him kinda just lurking around, walking around, and we were like, "What are you doing out here?" And, he would mumble something and kind of go on his way, and or else he would be asking for work and things like that, and, but he always wants to come inside, and I never really thought much about it. I just thought he was a weird guy, and, so I'll get to that in a second, but back to the lady that disappeared. So she disappeared. She was never found. They've never found her body. Never, it's an unsolved case. Two other women, one lived about 5 miles south of the church. She disappeared and her body was recovered. Her body was found about 18 miles northeast of the church. And the fourth lady, she lived about a mile from where the other lady's body was found. She was older, she walked with a walker, did have beginning signs of dementia, and at first they just wrote it off and said, "Oh, she just wandered off." Well, she could barely go to the bathroom by herself, so she didn't wander off. And her body was found about 18 miles south, about a mile from where the first lady lived. This
Mhm.
other lady's body was found. So it was like they switched places where one lived, the other one's body was found. But so people believe that maybe, and he was questioned in all of that. So people believe that he was kind of had a little area that he hunted. Um, but I had so under the bell tower area, like I said, there was termite damage and there was no subfloor. We had to go in, take up all the hardwood and put down a subfloor and reinforce all the joists and stuff. And my husband was in the bell tower area. It's all original flooring. And he was looking to see what joists needed to be replaced. And then he was back there doing electric stuff. But it's like dirt floor and it's a crawl space. You can't stand up. And he found this woman's shoe and it's kind of like an old fashioned, kind of an older lady's shoe. And he's like, "Look what I found." And he found some like really cool old mason jars and just some things that I don't know why it was back there, but I said, "Just put the shoe back. Just let's not disturb it. Let's just put it back." Cause there's different beliefs on people leaving shoes. Some
Right.
of it's like protection. Some of it, it could just be a random shoe somebody threw in there. We don't know. But I just said, "Just put it back. Let's not disturb it. Let's just leave it alone." Because we were already starting to have some activity, and I didn't know what the shoe meant, if it meant anything, and I didn't want to disrespect it if it was put there for whatever purpose. And so then a team was there, and I was telling them about this man and how he's always lurking around and how he's always wanting to come inside. And one of the ladies used to be a corrections officer, and she says, "Do you think he left something here that he wants to get? That he left something he wants to retrieve?" And I remembered the shoe. I was like, "Oh, wow, I had forgotten all about it." So then, of course, we went out in the crawl space, got the shoe out, and people will investigate around it and put some equipment around it and stuff. I did have a psychic medium come in, and I was showing her. So up in the attic, total opposite, in the attic of the bell tower, we found a little, I don't have a picture of it, but we found that little doll. So I was showing her the doll, and she immediately like honed in on the shoe. She was like, there's something with this shoe. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to kind of do some more research on that shoe, see
Yeah.
if I can find out what time period it's from. But
Right, that's what I was gonna say, maybe a time period.
yeah, but
It looks
the
like you
church was
said the
never
heel is
locked.
missing and stuff, and
Oh, sorry, what?
the heel is missing on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But the church was never locked up. It was always open to the community. They said it was nothing to walk in on Sunday and see people just, laying on a pew that had come in to get out from outside or whatever it may have been. And plus, who would ever think that the church would be anything but a church? So, thinking in that aspect, it's like, well, that's a great place to hide something if you wanted to hide something. But so I'm kind of torn. Like, part of me wants to investigate it a little bit more and find out, like, is there something here? But
Yeah.
then I really don't want it to be a crime scene. So I
Yeah.
don't, I'm just like, so I'm kind of, but I don't know. I'm just kind of considering different things with that. So
No, I get it.
Yeah,
Uh,
you don't want a building of that place due to a crime scene, and oh,
yeah.
I can't work on it. It's being investigated.
Yeah. I mean, and plus, oh my gosh, how weird would that be just to, I don't know. But so when this woman, this man's wife, when she was missing for those 4 years, her family did everything to try to find her, and they went to psychics and everything. Well, two different psychics told them to look in the well. So at first I thought directly in front of the church, about 100 yards, there's an empty vacant lot, and that's where they lived at the time she was murdered. And there's like this decorative yard ornament, wishing well type thing. So
which I have
I
a
thought,
picture of.
you do,
I took a picture of it. So,
yeah.
and I could put that up on socials for so everybody kinda has an idea.
Yeah. So I thought they're picking up this well, that's where she was murdered. I don't think she's down there. I don't think that's where she's buried or anything. But then my husband keeps bringing up, so behind the church, there's this, we're not really sure what it is. It's like this big hole, and it looks
Mhm.
like there's like a covering. There's like two layers of covering. There's like, it's not completely sealed off, but there's like this cover, and then there's another cover. And it looks like it might be like an old cistern or some type of something that was used for water at some point. So then my husband's like, "What if something's in there?" And I'm like, "Well, what if there is? I don't wanna know." So I
No.
don't know, but I mean, he would have access to that because it is outside. So, I mean, if there was
Yeah.
anything there, he could have gotten it out by now.
Yeah, they could be saying, oh, claiming that's the well, even though it might not be technically a well. It's well-like. So
Yeah.
Right.
that could be the well they're.
Yes, I think so. We still haven't found the septic tank or anything like that. So we're still trying to find that. We've had two different companies out there, and one of them was really dumb. I mean, they were like banging on the water line, and my husband's like, "Stop hitting that." And anyways, we're like, "That's not the." So yeah, so now that it's starting to get warmer, we can kind of do some more outside type work, and
Yeah.
I think maybe we'll do a little more looking into that cistern type, whatever that is, and just see what's going
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah. So, I don't know I know the guys when and it was pretty immediate, like, you guys had left and we were I don't remember if we'd already no, we had not gone to get food yet, but we
No,
were,
we were.
like, in s yeah, we were in the process of, like, getting our cameras out
Yeah.
and, like, our audio recorders and stuff like that, and I had gone upstairs and outside to get the rest of the stuff from my car, and then I came back in and they were like, "Were you talking?" And I was like,
Well, I thought I thought
Yeah.
it was someone. I thought someone had come to you because, like, you would open the door, you had started coming in, and I had heard the voice, so I had thought someone from the neighborhood had come up and you were talking to them. That's what it sounded like to me.
And
but
here
Doug said it yeah,
I was going to say, here I thought, I was like, well, first my brain couldn't comprehend what was going on. And at first I was like, did their security system just said something? But I was like, wait a minute, they don't have that kind of security system, like the door open or But then I'm like, is Tina just coming in doing, goofing around, having like, kind of voice? Because it sounded like a deep voice. And I'm
Yeah.
like, did you say something on the way in? And she's like, no, I never said. And I'm like, okay, that just was very out of the blue. And it was like literally immediately after y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys, Thomas, what did you think it said? Like what? Because you guys like different types of things.
Yeah, I couldn't even make out a single word, just the voice, just someone
Mhm.
talking in general.
Yeah. I just heard a deep.
Yeah, we get that. Yeah, at first it started off, it was like more whispers. We would hear like whispering. It sounded like a female whispering. Now, my husband did hear a little girl say mama. He heard that twice. But then we've more in the last few months. I don't know if that's something new because more teams are coming in. Maybe something came with them. But that talking, we've always heard the whispering and kind of the shuffling, kind of you could hear voices, but you really weren't sure what it was. But it is. I just had a team there. Actually, a lady was filming. She was going to do a little documentary, and she was like, "Who is that outside?" She's like, "I can't. We're picking this up," and I'm like, "Go look." And I just knew. Like, I'm like, "There's no one outside." And she took her cameras outside. And she's doing all outside. And she's like, "There's no one out here." And I'm like, "No." And it's you hear, but it is like that. You can't make it out. You can't make out what they're saying. You
Yeah.
just hear it. There was a team there last night, and they said the same thing. They messaged, and they're like, do people walk around? Because I told them, like, go investigate, walk around town, just kind of walk around on the street. And they were like, are you sure it's safe? We hear people talking out there. And I'm like, you don't, there's no one out there. I guarantee there's no one out there. But they were saying the same thing. They were afraid to kind of go investigate outside because they were afraid that there were people out there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And, you see it. It's like the hills have eyes. Like you don't want to be wandering around out there, by yourself in a
Like, oh,
strange area with this history. And yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, are you sure it's safe? And I'm like, I am positive there is no one out there, but go look, but there's no one out
Right.
there. And it is weird. And we've actually caught that on our cameras. We started hearing these like big bang noises. I thought you've seen there's like construction stuff, there's
Yeah.
wood and boards and stuff there. And it sounds like boards falling and smacking and like an echo. But now it's weird. I can send you one, but it's like you hear this bang noise, like a piece of wood falling or something banging, and then you hear these voices. And our security cameras are picking them up. So I'm like,
Right.
okay, so you're getting more bold. So are you going to actually talk to us at some point?
Yeah. And I mean, how long was it empty? How long did the church stay empty for?
So I'm not sure. We bought it in 2023 and we were the third owners. So the first owners, they were someone local. They bought it. They did nothing with it. They only had it a couple months and they sold it to a couple. They were going to turn it into a wedding chapel. And then they got in there. They saw there was a lot more work and they said, no, we're not going to do that. So they never actually lived there on site. They would
Mhm.
just come there and do like awful work. Actually, everything they did, we had to take out and redo. It was like cosmetic. Like, you saw that cheap boards,
Yeah,
that
they're in
flooring
the
stuff. They just laid it right on top of the hardwood. And then the paint in the basement, like, when we bought it, it was solid. There was none of that paint had chipped up or anything, but they used I don't know if it was cheap paint, if the wrong kind of paint, they didn't clean it or something. But when we first bought it, we would just walk across the floor and paint would stick to our feet. Like, it was awful. So they didn't really do anything. So we are the first people probably in about 3 years. Well, even so, when did COVID actually start? Was that 2020?
yeah.
20, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
great
So
2020.
that was yeah, so from 2020 to 2023, no one was there consistently. So we were like the first people that were ever there consistently after it disbanded.
I mean, you gotta think the energy is just there and it's stagnant and there's nothing feeding it. Like, there's no interaction, there's not another, like, life force where it can kinda pull from. It probably is gonna take some time, and then you guys were there full time, living there, trying to, remodel it and stuff, and and then stuff started happening, and now you've got more and more people coming in to
Mhm,
investigate, and now stuff is really, I mean, seems like it's picking up gradually.
mhm.
So, and I just think that has to do with, the people, the equipment coming in, the interactions they're now getting, but I did not hear I did not hear a voice. I heard nothing. They heard it
Really?
through them. I was just coming in the door, like, with the equipment bag. Like, that was it.
And the
Did you guys
downside,
hear whistling?
no, we did not.
Okay.
No.
That's something a lot of people have reported lately is hearing whistling.
Yeah. No, I didn't hear any whistling. I didn't hear any voices. I just had that little, like, dizzy, over hot, and then freezing and nausea and all
Oh,
that.
God.
And then we had gone to bed, and downstairs there's like a little like a bed down there and then the couch and everything, and I was on the bed going to sleep, and I have a hard time sleeping anyway, but obviously, like, on investigations, you're just kinda like you're on, but you're off when you're trying to go to bed. So I kept waking up, and so I thought that the guys, because it was Rhodes. I know a couple of you guys, I wasn't there overnight because I had to work the next day, but a couple of the guys were up overnight. So, like, some guys will go to bed, some people will go to bed, some people will stay up and continue investigating.
I still,
So I at Rhodes. So I thought that they just kept going while I was trying to sleep. So I thought I had just kinda, like, woken up and they were investigating downstairs around me, quietly, and they had walked over towards me, excuse me, and they were like, "Did you hear that?" And I said, "No, I didn't hear anything." And they're like, "You didn't hear that noise?" And I said, "No." And they're like, "Come here." And I was like, "No."
uh,
I'll pass. I'll
And
pass.
sorry. And they're like, "No, I heard something over here. Come here." And it was both of them. And so the next morning I woke up and I was like, "Were you guys still investigating? And did you, like, hear something? Like, were you over here?" And they're like, "No, we went to bed." And I was
yeah,
like,
say I'm pretty sure
Oh,
I was
wow.
definitely in bed by then. And
"Yeah."
I don't remember what time Thomas went off to bed. I know he stayed up a little longer to do some more investigating, but I was
And he was
not till,
upstairs. Yeah, but he had stayed upstairs for a bit, and
Yeah.
then I think you came down and just went to bed, I think.
yeah, I went to bed because I was, so I was like,
Oh,
when you were telling us that, I'm like, that was different.
well, what's weird is I didn't get that there, but I've had that experience before too at a Draper's cabin
Mm.
where Carol and I, it wasn't like well taken care of back then, so there was spiders everywhere. So we slept in the car, and both her and I had the same dream where both of us, like I had dreamed that she was leaning over me and pointing out the window and be like, "Hey, look at that. Hey, look over there. Look at that." And like in my face pointing. And then she had the exact same dream that I had done the same thing. So
Oh,
like,
that's
yeah, it
weird.
wasn't there, but it's kind of a weird that similar experience.
So I don't know what
Wow.
that was. I don't know if somebody was trying to get my attention. I have no idea, but your girl is just a tired, tired lady. So thank you.
And we were seeing our doppelgangers by
Yeah.
hinting back to the previous episode.
The mimic, maybe.
Mimics.
Well, that's so some people have told me that they think that there's a mimic there. So after I brought the Bobby Mackey stuff in, like I said, it was always more feminine, very light footsteps, kind of feminine energy. And I brought some stuff back from Bobby Mackey's and had it there. And I was making my husband a drink one night and he was on his way home from work. And as soon as I poured the whiskey to pour it into the drink, I heard his voice say, "Hey." I would swear to anything that it was his voice. And even the dogs heard it and they like scooted across that concrete floor and like ran up to ran up to meet him at the
Great.
door. And I turned around and he wasn't there. And I thought, well, maybe he just said something when he came in the door and he isn't down the steps yet. And then the dogs came back like, "Where's he at?" And I looked at his location and he was still like 15 minutes away. He wasn't even home yet. And that happened twice. And then we've had two or three other teams. I think there was three. One team told me that they had set up their equipment and went to the cemetery. And when they came back, they were going through the footage and they heard one of their team members talking on the footage, but they were all at the cemetery. And then another team had a similar situation where they had cameras going upstairs and they were downstairs and they were just kind of sitting there in the dark. And when they went back through the footage, they heard a team member talking on the footage that was not there. They were all downstairs. And then the other team said they heard it wasn't caught on camera, but they were all they were upstairs and they heard whispering downstairs and they thought it was a team member, but it wasn't
That
because they were
reminds
all
me,
together.
it wasn't whispering, but Thomas and I were downstairs. Doug had gone upstairs for something. And I was looking at the stairs and he was downstairs. Like he had already descended the stairs and I was looking at the stairs and then my like brain caught up and I was like, were you like, did you just come down? He's like, no. Like I got down here a minute ago and I was like, I swear to God, I just saw you come down those stairs.
Yeah.
Cause I was
That's weird.
the stairs.
She even looked at me like she was shocked that I was standing next to her. Like,
Where did you come from?
Yeah. But yeah, he was already down there and but I saw him come down a whole second time apparently. I don't know.
Wow.
But like there was
That's
no other
weird.
movement, there was no noise. I didn't hear anything, but I did see it and I thought it was him coming down, but he had already
yeah, I
come
was
down
Wow.
there.
already standing next to her, and she's like, looked at me like, weren't you just coming down the stairs? Like, I was standing here for like not even a minute, but it was like a good set, a good bit of time. And she was like, you were just walking down the stairs when I looked up. I was,
Yeah,
no.
because
Oh.
even I was confused. 'Cause I didn't see it fully, but I saw like someone moving down the stairs out of the corner of my eye. And yeah, then I look over and he's just
Wow.
standing right next to her. I was like, okay.
Yep.
Well, that's kind of cool though. Like almost like a time loop or something. Like
Yeah. Like a glitch. I don't know. It threw me off for a good minute because I was like, are you sure? Like, are you fucking with me? Because I just saw you
Just my
down.
shadow trying to check.
wow.
Going forward, do you guys like what are your plans for the church? I know you're kind of when we were there, you were kind of like
Since it's
not
no
really
longer
right.
Yeah, I mean, we still want to finish the renovations, and we have most of the materials and things like that. We still want to finish it because I just want to see it finished. I think
Right.
it'll be really cool. So we're not sure. We've talked about different things like, do we want to move back in? Do we want to make it like a haunted Airbnb? Do we want to do something else? And then we thought there's that field behind us. We would love to buy that field behind us, and maybe if we could do that, maybe we could build a small house behind us and
Mhm.
still operate just do investigations with the church. I'm not sure. We're kind of up in the air.
Yeah.
We're not sure what we're going to do with it yet. We definitely want to finish it though.
We are pro leaving it for haunted investigations.
the haunted Airbnb idea. I think we were pushing.
Yeah.
I
Or
think
just
that would be a cool.
yeah, or having an area like keep it open for the investigations, but having the amenities like the bathroom and somewhere for people to sleep, like beds
Mhm.
and stuff, so that teams have somewhere to rest. Because I know, like a lot of the places we go don't really have that, and it sucks
Yeah.
because then we're trying to
Yeah.
figure out where we're going to sleep after we're up all night.
I was going to chime in is like I've heard through the grapevines of podcasts and just the community in general. It's like a lot of people they go after the places with the beds and the showers and bathrooms, and those are normally hot spots for them because a lot of them are coming
I've
from.
got the best shower around. You guys saw my shower. Come on.
I mean,
The
I think it
basement
was
shower.
I would have
Hey,
used.
that's like 5-star there, you guys. Now, so there are a couple other buildings I had mentioned.
Yes, I was
One
going to
is
ask
an
about
old,
those.
yeah, one's an old general store or a bank. I can't remember now what it was. And then one's just an old house. And I've got the owners kind of on board with investigating there, but then winter came and I just didn't have time to promote it and things like that. So I think that's my next task too, is to kind of get back on that and try to include the 3 buildings. Of course, neither of them have electric. There's no running water. They're in pretty rough shape, so they would be very rough. But then you could always go back to the church, for the electric and water and those kind of things. And have 3 locations. I think that would be really cool.
In one little town, like it would either way. I know that we wanted to come back, and I know that the team, because it was just the 3 of us on location that night, and I know that a lot of the people that we have in the group, we have several others in like the main group that really wanted to go. They just couldn't make it work for big kid jobs and stuff.
Yeah, those jobs get in the way of everything.
Pesky adulthood. But yeah, I was going to chime in with the 2 additional buildings. Like that would be like the equivalent to me, like ISS and Billy Creek,
Billy
Yeah.
and I think the old jail or whatever. those 3 buildings, not too I mean, to me, it would be equivalent of that, like having 3 different separate locations you can have and have one of them as your home base. That would
Right. Well, even
Yeah.
Billy Creek just by itself is like that, just it, like, because they have so many buildings that were brought in from various locations throughout the area, or well, throughout the state, and are there are there ones from surrounding states there,
I
or
wouldn't
was
say
everything
some of them are. I wouldn't say like the Civil War house is more like from Kentucky or
like
somewhere a little south, but most of them
Midwest?
are there's been at least a couple of them from Indiana, and there was a couple of them from various other.
So, like, that place has, like, the Catholic Church, the Methodist Church, the Civil War, the governor's house, the store and the general store, that is the home base, like, the beds are up there, and then the bathrooms and stuff, and then they have a back room for all the equipment to be left, and then they have a barn, and they have, what, a blacksmith shop, they have a wood shop area, like, the dentist's place, and, like, a regular doctor, like, they have all of these buildings that are there that you can just
Yeah.
go while you're there investigating overnight. So, like, that was really cool for us to be able to do.
Yeah.
And I think and a lot of teams really love Billy Creek for that because 'cause you're not just sitting in one house all night, you can kinda get out
Right.
and go. So, I think having the availability with your location to add those other 2 on as something for teams to skedaddle over to
Mm.
look
Yeah.
into it would be
Yeah.
super, super cool.
Especially
Yeah.
break
Now
up and
the
not be on top.
Yeah, because the church isn't very big, so it's you can hear. And once we get more insulation and things like that, maybe it'll tamper that a little bit. But I mean, you guys have been there. It's not very big, so it would be nicer so bigger teams could come, or even that you could spread out and have 2 people here and there, and kind of wherever it may be. And once it gets warmer too, I mean, like I always encourage everyone, like just walk around outside. Like I don't own outside, but like just walk around outside. You just stay on the street. It's public street. Just kind of walk around and see what you see because it's just the whole little town is just an eerie little place.
Yeah, it's cool, but yeah, it's like stepping out of time almost, being out
Yes.
there, and I gotta say, for the nighttime enthusiasts, there's not a lot of light out there, so, like, the night sky we were out there looking at the stars and the planets and stuff, and I love taking Milky Way pictures. It wasn't above us that night because I looked, but, being able to be out there and get some really cool pictures outside in the night sky would be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we had a great time. We liked being over there a lot, and I know that we would love to come back. So
Yeah. We'd love to have you back.
I was going to add in before we moved on too much more. Speaking of outside, there was a podcast that mentioned there was skinwalkers outside. Speaking of being safe outside, somebody was trying to spread that kind of rumor. I don't know if you mentioned it or some.
So there's I didn't hear that, but there was a in the documentation from the Historical Society, they did say that there was a friendly Indian camp an eighth of a mile southeast. You guys hear my dog? No, mine's doing it.
she has
South of
plenty
them.
to say.
It's an eighth of a mile and it was friendly. So they did do trading and things. So I don't mess with that. My grandma was Native American and Appalachian. I grew up hearing these things. I don't even say the SW word because I feel like
Call
that
them
calls
flesh
them in.
pedestrians.
Yeah.
Flesh pedestrians is usually what they're called because the
Yeah.
S word is kind
Yeah.
of
And I
people.
just feel like that's just super like that whole ground and the things that happen to the natives, I just think is awful. And I haven't explored that. I just kind of leave that alone because I grew up hearing some things that can happen and they don't mess around. Like you do not want to anger them. You do not. And
So
I just kind of leave that alone. I just try to be as respectful as possible with that but I know people have said that we have got that word on our ovulus and things like that. And we've got some native type indications on it. And I just say, you're safe, you're welcome, do what you want. We're not going to bother you because I just leave it alone. Other people may
so
want to explore it, but I leave it alone.
yeah.
I was just curious because, like I said, there was a pod. They didn't really specifically say if they heard it from you or wherever, but they were like even going as far as like they were trying to prank their friend by making them whistle because of course you're not supposed to whistle when you're on them, and they were trying to trick him into whistling. Like, and you're advertising, oh, it's safe outside, go outside, and I'm like,
Those are
I'm
your
hearing
friends
talks that are
trying to get
potentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I
and
always tell people, "Don't whistle."
yeah, well, and that's very big in the Appalachian culture is if
Mhm.
you hear whistling outside at night, no, you did not.
Yes,
And
and if
so
you hear
when
your
you were talking
name, no, you
earlier,
didn't.
yeah, and asking if we heard whistling, I was like, even if I did, I ain't gonna know.
I
Yeah. So that's been a thing lately. In the last couple months, maybe people have talked about hearing whistling, and I don't know. I mean, there's dogs in the area. Maybe people are calling their dogs, but I know people have asked about whistling, and I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I do think it's safe outside. I really do. I mean, as far as like a now the guy that we mentioned a couple times, he is incarcerated, but I did find out he's getting out in April. So that might be a little interesting to see. But he's I was talking to another neighbor about him and he talks to him a lot and I think he would enjoy being part of the story. I really do.
I'm sure
He's
he would.
one of yeah. I mean, not that I want to bring him in, but like
Right.
I do use his story as part of the history, but I don't know that he would I don't know. I don't know that he would do anything to anybody, but you don't know because he has done things. So, but I think as far as like if you still want to walk around the streets, I don't think he's going to like come out and murder anybody or anything like that. So,
I mean, not to say like there's an expiration date on those tendencies when they're older, but he is an older gentleman now.
and I've heard his health has not been real good lately, which I can imagine the life he's lived and the drugs he's done, and just living in prison for 15 years. I heard that will age you like tremendously. And he's had some. One of the other neighbors told us that he's had some pretty significant health issues since his recent incarceration. So maybe, and I don't know where he's going to live to be honest, because that house had mold in it before he went to jail.
Huh.
I think I told you guys the story about the mold in the
Mhm.
basement and the water.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can only imagine what kind of shape it's in after he's been in jail for 2 years. The windows are open, the doors are open. Like, I can't imagine
Oof.
it's safe to live
yeah
in there.
yeah
So
Probably has
I
some
don't even know where he's
animals.
going to go.
I'm sure the condition.
Well,
Maybe.
I don't know. I think people out in those kind of areas kind of make do with whatever they have to make do with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it is a very small area. There's not a whole lot out there to like get. So,
And when we first bought the church, I called the courthouse and wanted to make sure that, we can have it rezoned and everything and what kind of permits we would need. I told them we would be doing some remodeling and things. And they told us that the only permits that Greene County requires is a permit for the septic tank. So that I know. So
whatever.
that's the only permit that you need is for a septic tank. So I don't know that there's like building inspectors or anybody that would come around looking to see what kind of shape your property's in.
And
If
that's
so, they should have already condemned it. Like, you saw
yeah.
it, it looks like a junkyard. Like, he's
Yeah.
got so I'm not sure what he's gonna do. I don't know what if he'll be hanging around, if he will not, but I still think it's safe. I mean, there is that Native American aspect. I think they did say that they were a friendly Native American camp, so I think as long as you're respectful, I don't think anything's gonna but if you go out there and you're antagonizing and provoking and
Yeah.
things like that. I mean, with anything else, any other energy, you might get shown what's what.
I am a firm believer of like anywhere that I go. I know one of our team members really likes kind of being a little bit not disrespectful, but to try and get responses. I am very
Yeah.
much this is your place. I'm just here. I mean no harm or disrespect. I just want to communicate. And then that's that.
I just want to be
I think
friends.
sometimes I think you have to like I know at the church it's very subtle. It takes a lot of prompting sometimes to get them, and most of the times what you will capture is when you're just kind of sitting around and you're not even really engaging with the
Right.
energy. You're just kind of on your own, talking amongst
She's
yourselves, doing
ignoring
things.
us.
Yeah, and it's like then they'll kinda 'cause I do think they're like this they're shy, or I think it's from that time period where they didn't have that voice and they're not used to speaking up and
Yeah.
being heard. So they wait until they think no one's paying attention, and
Yeah.
then they kinda come out, and that's when you hear the footsteps or you hear the noises or you hear the sounds and things. So I think that it's but I they will. engage. And we've had a few teams that have been there multiple times, and they seem to get a lot better responses. I feel like they kind of get to know them, and
Yeah.
they come out a little more for them. So there's nothing wrong with prompting and things like that. But I think some people take too far to provoke and things like that. So, yeah, and
Let's say
that's basically what I've said. People are like, "What are the rules?" I'm like, "Just things like Megan's, like
Right.
behavior. Just like don't be a jerk. Just like, and there's not a demon. You're not going to get scratched. You're not going to get possessed. There's no demons here."
I'll let
Well, there's that. And we won't get stuff like, even last night we got, before I left, they had their Ovilus on and it said something like, it just said vortex or portal. And we'll get
Mhm.
that from time to time. And I'm like, I don't really think there's a portal here. I mean,
It
maybe
was
I don't
Friday the
understand it.
13th, though, and
Well, that's true.
I don't know that so we were talking about, like, timelines, Doug and I on the last episode that I recorded and stuff like that, and then part of that was portals, and I don't know that they're, like, just stationary, like, it's just kinda always there in the corner. I think that there are other things that have to kinda come into play, and sometimes
Oh,
it's
that makes
those
sense.
big dates like 1111, 222, 333, like,
Right.
those repeating numbers or astrologically, there's so much
When
that
the planets were all aligned.
I mean, look at how much has happened astrologically here lately. We had the planetary alignment or parade is what they called it. We had the lunar eclipse. We've had Friday the 13th. We have Mercury
The
in
blood
retrograde.
moon. Yeah.
We had the blood moon the same day as the lunar eclipse. Like it's just
Yeah.
been one thing after another here
So,
recently.
yeah.
And
And
so,
we're going into spring, which
yeah,
opens up the
which is
whole
also an in
other.
between. Yeah, it's a liminal
Mhm.
space. Changing of the seasons is considered a liminal space. So,
Yeah.
like, again, I don't know that portals are just kind of always existent in this one spot. I think that there's
That makes sense.
various things that kind of come into play and then they're like able to be accessed, I guess.
Yeah. I guess, yeah.
So,
Yeah. I guess
and
I
Friday the
think of
13th, I think would be a great day for that.
that's true. I didn't think about that. But like I guess in my mind, in my protective mind of the
Yeah,
church, and I don't want it to be like there's demons here or stuff.
right.
Not to say that somebody couldn't bring something like that, but I guess that's where I was thinking like portals, vortex, but it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be a bad thing either.
No,
Um,
not at all.
I
I
should just
mean,
change my way of thinking about that. And then,
it's hard. And like so me, like portals for me, I don't necessarily think that they're a negative thing. For me, it's more like the thinning of the veil. I can contact anyone from beyond, and I don't obviously my first thought isn't, "I'm gonna go get me a demon friend." It's I'm going to talk to the people that have passed away or that have more
that's
knowledge than
true.
me that I know like, I wanna reach out to these people, and if I'm on location, like and there's a thinning of the veil kinda liminal space, time, Halloween or in between seasons or there's a special planetary alignment or lunation happening, like, I wanna use that to my advantage to try and talk to
Hmm.
whoever is in that area from generations past if I can.
yeah.
That's true.
But I'm a little witchy, so
Yeah.
that's the way
You
I
kind of have
feel
to.
about yeah.
Yeah.
So, but no, I don't think it's all negative at all, and I think a lot of people make it that.
Yeah.
I guess that's the way. Yeah. Cause when people go, oh, vortex or, oh, you know, um, what was the other word? Oh my gosh.
Like
Oh my
portals,
gosh.
like
Portal. Yeah. And it's just the way they use the word that makes it seem like they're wanting to make it something
yeah.
negative.
It's
And,
easier to
and I'm
do
like, no, 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 no.
because it's feeding that fear too, and people if they don't have an understanding of it because there's not really a great understanding of it because it's just more energy stuff and energy changes, and so there's no, like, hard grasp on those things,
Mhm.
but because people don't understand it, they often fear it, and it's easier to feed that fear and get your attention that way than to try and say, "Hey, instead of the fear aspect of it, let's look at it in not in I guess, a more logical way or just a
Just to understand.
reframing yeah,
Yeah.
reframe it instead
Yeah.
of automatically going demons.
And I think,
Yeah.
horror movies have helped sort of
Demons. Yeah.
can't think of the
Yeah.
word, but
It's more like
Yeah.
clickbait material that, oh, there's a portal
yeah,
to another realm. The
yeah,
dark
like
Yeah.
beings coming through.
yeah, like sensationalizing it. That's the word. Gets more
Yeah.
clicks on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah. And we don't function like that. You know,
Nah,
we had a whole conversation after Rhodes because Rhodes Hotel was very, very quiet and Spirits was pretty quiet too. And, you know, we talked about that. Like the reality is that it's not always going to be a super active night, and that's fine. You
yeah,
know, the purpose of going out and doing the investigations is to investigate and tell what we're finding, not what we want to
Yeah.
find or
yeah,
what we're
Yeah.
hoping to find. You know, we're not trying to create things or sell people on anything. And so, and we definitely do try like in the moment because there are quite a few of us a lot of the time, like we have this orb in a picture. Is it an orb or was it a reflection of something? Because that happened at Rhodes. And we, you know, during that time, we were debunking it as we went.
yeah,
We were just saying, oh, we got an orb. Cool. That's going on social media. You
yeah,
know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
right. We got what we came here for, guys. We gonna go home.
Yeah.
No, we want it to be realistic for people. We don't want to dupe anybody or, you know,
Or
put
Right.
out God, yeah, the photo from ISS. Yeah,
we'll bring that.
we held that for months, I
oh,
think, before we actually put it out there, and we had done all kinds of different filters and send me the video footage from that. I need to compare it. Here's, you know, the people that were actually in that hallway, and I'm gonna compare that to what we got in that like, we did everything. We
You
threw
dissected
everything,
it. That's the best.
and there was absolutely there was not an explanation that we could come up with for that picture.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I think that picture is I think it's a specter of some sort. I think that it's a nurse from the time
Oh, wow.
period. I'll have to send it to you because I don't think we showed you. But
And
yeah,
I
we
don't think
captured
we
it.
even been posted on socials or anything yet, other than I think that little.
Yeah, we did on my feed. Um, but yeah, like I said, we held on to it from September to whenever we finally were like, okay,
yeah,
we can go. But we're gonna
Wow.
put it as, you know, here's what we did to try and debunk it. Here's the picture. What do you guys think it is? Uh,
yeah.
so yeah, but it took us a while to put it out there. So, but I will say,
Picture
when they sent that picture, my freaking stomach fell out my booty hole. I was like, "Holy ghost on camera!"
And pictures are tricky because it is like you said, you have to really examine that because there's so many things that can if you look at something long enough, you're gonna see something. And so pictures are tricky but when you've exhausted every other option, I mean it's just it is what it is. And you have to just admit that, yeah, there's something here.
Right. And Carol, so on that particular investigation, there were 4 girls. The figure is clearly a woman in this picture. And I was like, it's not me. Like my hair was up and it wasn't that long, even if it was down. I do not have that same shape. I was in pants and boots and I had my backpack on, which has the reflective tape. So it wasn't that. Molly was the another girl that was there. Same thing. She had a backpack on and her hair was up. Wasn't that. Megan has very short hair. Wasn't her. So Carol was really the only option. But like the Carol was seen in another, like, snippet there. Body shape doesn't match. Her pants, like, you can clearly see defined 2 legs. This picture looks like there is a skirt that is cut off, like, pretty close to, like, mid lower leg. It looks like there's yeah, it looked like there was a belt on there and that kinda like the hair was down but half pulled up into a clip kind of. And in the other thing, we had flashlights on us, and you
Yeah.
could clearly see the flashlights on the walls and the floor and in our hands and stuff and there was nothing in this picture. So
I was gonna say that, and
That's
just
really cool.
the definition of it. Carol was like very clearly solid, while this thing
yes.
didn't
Yeah.
have the same sort of.
It it it's like semi-solid almost,
Yeah,
like, it formed enough for the trail cam to catch it, but it wasn't yeah, Carol was like, "That's a whole ass human."
Wow.
And
That's
we
really
were in
cool.
pairs. Like, none of us were walking around by ourselves, and there
No.
is not a person in that picture. So, yeah, but
And also, I think it was, I think it was the very first picture, like shortly after we set it up. It was like one of amongst the earliest pictures before we got the,
right, and we weren't even in the building. You guys had set that a couple of, like, things up throughout, and then we went back to the main building to, like, prep.
Yeah.
hmm, so
Like,
there
we
wasn't too
weren't
many
even
people
in
in that area.
mm-mm. So, I don't know. I think we got a ghost.
That's neat. That's cool to, like, get something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's basically, that's what we want to have happen. I think we got very lucky at that time, and now we're like, "We need all the trail cams. We're gonna put
Yeah.
them."
Yeah.
Yeah, so and we've kind of adjusted, I have cameras now that I can bring. They won't be able to be at every investigation because they do have to be plugged in for mine, but, they movement activated. They have great night vision on them, so, like, if anything's going off, it's gonna catch that, any kind of movement, it's gonna catch it. We were talking I know Doug wants some body cams himself, change up of, like, our audio recorders, the type that we have, and trail cams is obviously at top of all of their lists
Oh,
right now. So, yeah. So we're growing as we go and adjusting and trying new things and seeing what works and what doesn't. And I have fun doing this. Like, I love doing this. I think it's
Yeah.
fascinating. I love being on location.
I'm
Yeah.
more itching for
I went
Yeah.
out to lunch with our girls yesterday and I was like, we're trying, like, I want Randolph on the books now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
me
tired of
and Carol
waiting.
were.
Yeah. So but I think that'll probably be like an early summer one to make sure that everybody can.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so, so much for being on today and
Thanks
coming
for
and
having
talking
me.
to us.
Well,
And it was a
thank you
real
for
pleasure.
having us.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you.
at Marco. It really is a beautiful place, and I know we look forward to what the future holds for it. And we
So
definitely,
do I.
and we definitely, right. I don't even know what there is, what's happening.
Yeah.
Let's say I'd definitely want to go back.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to have you
Uh,
back.
Well,
And
not
yeah,
even
now that
just
it's
for
getting
the,
warmer.
yeah, I was going to just add, not even just for the investigating aspect, it's just see what y'all would achieve with this, like,
Yeah.
remodeling it wise. I mean, so far what I've seen, it looks like it's going to be a pretty,
I think you guys are doing
Yeah. There's a
fantastic,
lot.
and you guys are pouring a lot of love that is necessary into a place like that. And I know that all of us talk about like the restoration and upkeep of homes, churches, anything like that, any like historical building. Like, we are pro that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's only, like I said, the church, then there's that house, and then
Mhm.
that general store. They've
Yeah.
torn everything down. And actually,
Yeah.
the house, the neighbor, his intention is to eventually tear that down. And I'm like, don't tear
How
this
about
house
no?
down. I'm like, yeah, but they just, there used to be many houses there, like directly across the street from the church. There were a couple of houses, and I mean, you've seen it, it's pretty sparse, but there used to be a big hotel. There was a big train depot, then the doctor's office and the bank. I mean, all that stuff. And they've just torn it all down. And
I can't even
I hate
imagine
that.
like what we went and what we experienced and saw there. Like, it would be so cool to have seen
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
buildings there. And that's what I think a lot when I go into, like, older towns is like, God, what this would have looked like back in its heyday. Like,
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen it. So,
Yeah.
it's like
There's not even
anywhere I
really good pictures. We've got a few, but there's not even a lot of like photo documentation. There's just, and I hate that. And like the house we live in now, it was built in 1910. So I've got a thing for obviously old buildings and old houses, but yeah, it's just, yeah. I mean, I would pick an old house before a new house any day. Just the history, and
me.
they're just built better too.
Yes, they are. I live in a new build, and it has been a shit show since we got it, so
No.
there's always something wrong.
Yeah.
But no, we just what's lost to time, all those
or
buildings
was
and
deemed insignificant.
Yeah.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I know it breaks our little old soul hearts.
Keep the old buildings.
Right.
Even if they're, and it is a lot. It's a lot to just the electric. I mean, just like just the upkeep and the maintenance and like things that, like, we've done a lot of things that you can't see, like just to get it. into a sort of a livable condition. But just the, it does take a lot. So I can imagine on these older, like bigger buildings and bigger structures, I just can't imagine the upkeep with that because it's very expensive. It would be very expensive to rewire the electric. So when you go to these places and you're like, oh, there's no electric or there's no running water, it's like, yeah, but can you even imagine what it would cost
Well,
to make that available?
I think that was something that we really liked. Like, ISS has no
Oh
electricity,
yeah.
and I just like, I was there for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
maybe the
I
EMF readings and everything like that. A lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because you don't have to think, is it next to something or yeah.
It's a
yeah, because that's
electrical
something
box right here. Oh, I can't. That can't.
or a Wi-Fi here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I don't mind at all going to places that don't have any kind of electric or anything like that. Like, I think that that's even more authentic on my like, for me
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
go to places. But it is also nice, the amenity side, like I was saying earlier, to have somewhere that has running water and has, electric and stuff like that for
Charging.
sleeping arrangements. So,
Yeah. Well, like Ashmore.
yeah.
Have you guys been to Ashmore?
No.
So yeah, so they're, inside the building they have one room that's kind of um heated and things like that. And then they have like small, like almost like a tiny home, like just like little bunk houses,
Yeah.
where you can sleep and it has the amenities and things. So even if you could do something like at a place like ISS, that's just huge. If you just had that one place, that you could
Yeah.
like go recharge your stuff
Yeah,
and or
which
get warm.
Yeah, they do. They have a front office. It's down the
Okay.
hill and
almost
around, and
Okay.
they have multiple
Like one
rooms
of the
there with beds, and then they have the bathroom and stuff and, like, a little kitchen area and all that. So, like, it's a hike.
they just
yeah. Well, and a property that's that big.
The property itself is massive, and yeah, like Doug was about to say, there's a mansion on site, and they are in the process of remodeling that, and that will be an Airbnb.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're
And
claiming I saw
that
that.
October. I think
I,
October
uh,
when it's open.
is it? I thought I saw somewhere lately it was updated to like March. I don't
No, a
say
lot of
that's like
people
I've heard October. I've heard March.
Well, I mean, it's probably a moving date because you run into things and things get slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's hard to pinpoint a date with.
but I would love to stay there because when we were there investigating, we were hearing voices, and we went all the way up to the attic, all the way down, like, we were up and down. I was, outside walking the grounds. I was like, "Who is talking? Where is this coming from?" And it moved. Like, if I was upstairs, it sounded like it was just in the parlor downstairs. When I was downstairs, it sounded like it was coming from across the like, basement area on the other side of the house. And then we had gone to the stairwell, and it sounded like it was outside, like, and there was nobody out there. We were tripping
Oh,
over 30 minutes, and then Doug came in, he could hear it too, and I was just like, "I have no idea," and then it just stopped.
Yeah, well, it
that's
gradually
weird.
stopped. It got like quieter, quieter.
Yeah, then it just we thought there was, like, a radio on that, like, maybe the construction people had left a radio, but it wasn't. Like, I went every inch of that place and was
Well,
trying
Wow, that's
well,
to
so
get
cool though, because
oh, I was going to just real quick. When I was listening to it, like Thomas and our buddy Curtis talking, because it sounds distinctively like them, and even like their tone and pitch. And I got on the radio, it was like, "Where are you?" And that
and they were in
one was
building.
like in that little one building, Thomas nursing home, or
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah, so
hearing like, this sounds like it's like
yeah, it was crazy. It was wild, and then I was like, "We're gonna get killed."
it is scary when you're in these big places and it's and these, empty, supposed to be empty,
Yeah,
and you don't know,
and
like,
it's just
even like
open.
at
I
the
mean, there's
church,
no way to secure that.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and they even say, like, you're out in the middle of nowhere, but lock the doors, like, you don't want some weirdo wandering in, like,
Right.
if that's possible, but, yeah, that is kinda scary, and, these people that do these solos, I think, "Are you crazy?" Like,
I would never. I couldn't do that.
there's no way I would never do that because, I mean, you're just setting yourself up for
My friend
even
Steven just
something
walked off
spiritual
by
to
himself, and
attack.
I'm like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah,
Yeah, he was
there's
just
no way. I'm too chicken for that.
No, no, I could not.
I don't
That would
know.
be
I don't mind doing solo sometimes.
no, you're with me all night. Come here.
yeah. I was
I'm
about to
like,
say
no,
it's
no,
like
no.
I end up pulling bodyguard duty, and
Mhm. Yeah. No, I'm
Yeah,
not
I mean,
brave
if
enough.
if you're just going off and in a room down the hall and someone's on the next floor or whatever, that's probably doable. They can get to you quickly if some weirdo wanders upon you. But
Right.
like, it is kind of scary, and these, especially, you're out in the middle of nowhere, and there's a lot of people on drugs and things like
Yeah.
that you don't want some crackhead wandering in.
Right. Let's say I made a joke when we were at Waverly. We were outside, and I was like, "How creepy would it be if you just saw someone start slowly walking up the path, like,
Mm-mm.
standing out in the
Well,
middle.
when you bring that you go into that back entrance there, there's that apartment building there.
Yeah.
That's a little sketchy there by Waverly. And it's like
Right.
you kind of got to walk and drive through
I've not
the,
been to Waverly yet, so that's on the list for hopefully
yeah.
this
So
year. Like, I wanna get there so
Yeah, we want to
yeah,
go
they
back.
make you go through this back end, like it's like you, you have to go through this little sketchy area, and there's like
Yeah.
these people standing there. There's like this apartment building there, and you're like, don't get out, just keep on going.
I was just in Kansas City, my husband and I were, I went over there for a concert on the Missouri side, and there's, an old prison that's there, and it looks like an old castle, so I was like, "I'm totally going there and taking pictures." Um, yeah, there was homeless there, and which is fine, like, I'm not gonna mess with any of your stuff, but, leave me alone too.
Yeah, don't mess with mine either. Yeah.
But I didn't see anybody. I saw no one, and it was, like, dead quiet, and I had walked down into, like, the bottom floor of it, and there was, like, this hole up in the part of the wall, and I was like I didn't know if it was, like, a crawl space or what it was, so I kinda, like, poked my head there's a fucking guy in there, and I was like, "Oh my god." Scared the shit out of
Don't go
me.
poking your head in places. What's wrong with you?
He had, like, a ball in his hand, and he just, like, looked at me. I was like, "Oh, hi, how are you?"
God.
Photos. I'm not gonna touch any of your stuff out here. How's your day go? Like, and then I started talking, and he said that he talked to me, and he was fine. But I was like, "Oh my god, I almost shit my pants." Like, this guy was just in a wall. And then I walked to the other side. My husband was with me and walked to the other side, and I turn around, and there's another freaking homeless person just standing over me, staring at me, and scared the shit out of me. I didn't hear anybody. Like, they were moving around so quietly. And that was like I was like, "All right, we're leaving." Like, by the second, like, jump scare of my life, I was like, "We gotta go." Like, I
It's
can't
just
do this.
open. It's just open for anyone to walk
It's
around
just
in.
open. Yeah, it's just open.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
I got pictures. I don't think I put any pictures up yet. I will this week, but it was beautiful, but yeah, it's literally, like, it's just all dilapidated. It's falling apart, crumbling because it's a very old, old building, but yeah, they just crawl all over it. Like, whatever available
Oh
space there
man.
is that they can get in, they do, which I understand. They're trying to stay warm and,
Yeah.
shelter. But when you're not seeing nor hearing anyone, and then all of a sudden there's just somebody there, whew,
Yeah.
yeah, it scared the shit out of me.
yeah.
So, yeah, that was basically I was like and I just kept reiterating because they had, like, some canned goods and stuff that were down there where it looked like they had started a fire pit, so I'm gonna assume they were trying to, like, cook over it. So I just kept telling them, like, "I'm not here to touch any of your stuff. I will not take anything." Honestly, if I had the available money, I probably would have run to the store and got some stuff for him and dropped it back off, but it just wasn't, I yeah, I don't have the money to right now, but I would have loved to have done that for them. But they were fine, but I was like by the second one that just popped out of freaking nowhere, I was like, "Okay, we're gonna go." I'm not
Problem
gonna
is
get
you
hurt
don't
and
know
sick.
with them because there's the mental
No.
illness
Right.
aspect, and they could snap at any moment, and they may be fine talking to you, telling you their story, and then all of a sudden you're the enemy, and I mean, it's scary.
Yeah. Yeah, I just stayed pleasant, got as many pictures as I could, and then we dipped.
Wow.
But yeah. But Kate, again, thank you for coming on. Can
Thank
you tell
you.
everybody where they can find Spirits of Marco?
So we're on Facebook and TikTok under Spirits of Marco. And you can email spiritsofmarco@gmail.com for booking. It's $150 for up to 8 people from 6 p.m. to 10 a.m. ish, whenever you leave, basically, as long as I don't have another team coming to just be out before the
Yeah.
next team gets there.
Right.
Yeah. Just Spirits of Marco,
And
TikTok and Facebook.
I'll go ahead and I'll make sure to like link all the bios and
Okay.
stuff in the show notes so that everybody can just easily click and go and find you.
All
So,
right.
well, thank you so much again for being on. It was so nice talking to you again, and we
Thank
look
you.
forward to coming back.
Can I do a little
Yeah.
plug here?
Yeah.
We're in a contest, Mysteries of the Fort. Did you guys see that?
Yes.
So, Mysteries of the Fort, we were nominated for to benefit from their raffle. And we're in with some pretty good locations, but go vote. Mysteries of the Fort on Facebook. Go vote for us or whoever you feel like deserves it. Rhodes Hotels in there, the Ross House,
Roads,
Post Town. Yeah, yeah. So there's some good places. So
yeah,
go vote for somebody. Doesn't have to be us. Just vote for someone.
yeah,
And you can vote once a day.
yeah.
Okay.
I was
Yeah,
told, I'm like, oh, Rhodes, Spirits and Marco. Oh my God.
I know. We're just like, we're like
I
surprised.
cheated.
I didn't even know. So we're just like happy to be part of it.
From Ghost Tracks podcast, I voted for one of you, and then I went on my personal and voted for the other.
Well, you can vote once a day. So you can vote for everybody at different times. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
I was like, I love the
I was just
I
online say somebody had voted others. It's like, oh, Thomas voted for.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
And some
writing down.
places are more in more need than others, but some place, and then, we have a plan with ours to do some renovations and things. And, but it is expensive to upkeep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
So it's a cool thing. I love that they're doing that. So yeah, go help out wherever you feel pulled to help out.
Yeah.
So
To add in on to this, what you just brought up is, I mean, I would like to eventually one day, like, even come up with our own version of that, like at Paracons or something, have like a little donation and help gather
yeah.
donations and like pick a location to donate. And I would
Yeah.
love to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not even just preserving these buildings like we talked about before. It's just, you just can't let these buildings fall.
No, no,
No.
no. It breaks my heart seeing it happen too. And there's, we were talking not too long ago. Like we just wish we were made of money because we would love to have a location that was historical, even potentially haunted, that we could open up,
Yeah.
restore, and fix, and do this. Like we love that you have a haunted church. Like we're like we would love to have a haunted church.
Yeah. I mean, and we didn't know, like the intent was to move
Right.
into it, renovate it, and live there. And then it just turned into this. A lot of people will
Right.
say that. Did you buy it to do this? And I was like, no. I mean, I assumed that there would be some energy there, but I never thought it would be this. So I'm just like thrilled. Someone that's been like this enthusiast her whole life, and into paranormal everything, and then to actually own a place, I'm like, oh my God, my
Yeah.
lifetime goals have come true. So it's
Yeah. Right. That's all of our goals in these parts.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. So
so, all right. Well, we'll be sure to link everything, and I wrote myself a little reminder to link the contest page in there as well. So
yeah,
again, people can just click and vote for whoever they want. So,
yeah. All
all
right. Well,
right. Well,
thank
thank
you.
you. Of course. You guys have a great day. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.